There we go. Okay. It's yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Source Material. My name is Jesse Starcher, and tonight we are doing something. We're doing something a little special. Okay, we got it kind of like a two-show in one deal here. That's right. We're gonna be talking kind of the same topic, but what we're going to do first is we're going to give you a little treat. And if you've been listening to the Source Material podcast for a while now, you may have caught a couple movie pitches by one Mark Radulich, who and that's happened on the Source Material podcast, at least pretty certain, at least 2 times so far. So what we're going to do before we get into our main discussion about Vision, the 2016 series, is we are going to allow Mark Radulich to come on here and we know there's an intern listening out there somewhere. There usually is, for better or for worse. They take our ideas and run with them, usually for worse. So this, make sure to screw it up a little bit, Mark. Make it sound unbelievable, so somebody will take it and run with it. But first off, let's get the introductions out of the way. Ronnie Adams, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Not bad at all. We didn't schedule for half an hour. It's 9:13. Look at us go, and I even got on here 5 minutes late. You like it?
I love it.
Loves it. All right, Mark Radulich, this evening, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I tried so hard not to derail this podcast because I so don't want to go to midnight.
3 hour? Dude, I edited that last podcast down to an hour. That's what the main meat of that podcast was. Black Lightning.
So this morning we took the kids to camp because it's Martin Luther King Day when we're recording this. And my wife and I real quick, I had planned a man day, okay? I was going to get up, take the kids to camp, drop them off, and then I was going to just go have a day to myself. I was going to go see Last Jedi by myself, and then I was going to find the Starbucks, and I was going to read the Vision comics and Identity Crisis, and leave my wife to her own devices. She pulls this shit on me. She goes, hey, since you're bringing the kids to a camp, that gives us a whole day together. We can have a date and we don't have to worry about the kids. And I'm just like flipping tables over
in your head,
in my head, in my mind. And I was like, God damn it. But we had a great day. I actually had a chance to go see Last Jedi again with my son, who didn't do too bad with it. On Saturday before we went to the wrestling show, the NXT house show here in Tampa.
So jealous that you get to go to those.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Actually, my kids did really well with them. And in any case, so yeah, today my wife and I we did do our date. But she's a good woman. She let me have time to actually. While she went shopping at the mall, I sat in the food court and read my Vision comics.
That's a classic man move right there.
Yep. I told her, I'm like, as long as I can get these read at some point, I don't care what else we do. And we did a lot of other fun stuff that I like, that she likes, that we like. But I got my reading time in, and that's all I cared about. So man day kind of saved. In any case, it was reading these Vision comics that inspired another movie in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for the call from Kevin Feige to bring me in as like a showrunner or a producer, junior producer, something, because I generate a lot of ideas for this company, and so far they haven't taken any of them. But I something's gonna stick, and so
if you throw enough crap against the wall.
Exactly. That's my Radulich is Polish for throwing up crap against the wall. So anyway, I read Tom King's The Vision arc, which we're going to talk about tonight, and I thought this would make a great Netflix series. It really would.
It would.
It has all the markings of a Netflix drama. It's tragic. It's character driven. It's the issues themselves are extremely visually episodic. Like I could see a half an hour TV episode in each one of these issues. I mean, you'd have to do some editing here or there and some creative thinking with it, but ultimately, I loved this Vision series as the impetus for a television that covers the same territory. Here's the problem. For this to work, Vision has to have a failed relationship with the Scarlet Witch. Now, this is the tricky part for me. You don't know really where they're going with Vision and the Scarlet Witch. You have an inkling based on what we saw in Age of Ultron, Civil War, and the little bits we've seen in the trailer for Infinity War. So, you know, with a lot of my pitches, I'm kind of going off the little bit that I know, and then the rest I'm just pulling from my imagination, what I'd like to see happen. So
that's what you call it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is one part fan pitch, one part fanfic.
Never a good thing.
Hey, you like my pitches typically, don't?
Oh yeah, but when you call it a fanfic,
it's not slash fiction. I don't have like Wonder Man in love with Hercules, but I'll get to that in just a second.
No.
So, anywho, I want to see a West Coast Avengers movie that deals, at least in part, with the rise and fall of the Vision and Scarlet Witch's relationship. So at the end of it, we're left with a Vision who has had his heart kind of broken, and it's given rise to him wanting to create the robot family that he does in the series we're going to talk about tonight. So you understand the connective tissue there. Here's how I would do it. First of all, my West Coast Avengers would be the following people. Obviously, Vision and the Scarlet Witch have to be there for this to work. I would have it led by Hawkeye, as it was in the comics, and I'll explain how he gets there in a second. I would bring the Mockingbird character from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in, seeing as her pilot died and blew up on the launch pad. Mm-hmm. Marvel's Most Wanted was not picked up by ABC, and so they've used the male character that was in that, whose name escapes me. He was just in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they haven't brought back Bobby Morse. And I really liked Adrienne Palicki as that character, and I think they should use her in the movies. Or at least bring her back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, you know, Hawkeye, Mockingbird, Vision, Scarlet Witch. The last two people I would include, one of which was never actually a West Coast Avenger, but hear me out. I think he would make a great addition to this cast, and that's Hercules. And I'll explain why I think Hercules would be fantastic, given how I want to envision him in 2018. And lastly is Wonder Man. Here's my concept, right? I would partially revolve this around an origin of Wonder Man and the Grim Reaper. They're brothers in the comic. I would make them brothers in the movies. And the short of it is I would have Wonder Man pre-powers and his brother are a weapons manufacturing and technology company against the wishes of, I'm going to call him Grim Reaper. His name is Eric, but against the wishes of Eric, you know, who wanted to run the company himself. Simon, who is running the company, who is Wonder Man, sells the company for, you know, billions of dollars to Stark Industries, who shuts down a lot of things, especially after this is pre-Iron Man. So post-Iron Man, he shuts everything down because he's not making weapons anymore. Mm-hmm. Eric's out of a job, and while he gets a significant portion of the money, he's like resentful of his brother for having, you know, sold the family business. Two things end up happening here. One, because of what happens in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where the Terrigen Mist got in the water, not only does Simon become like the belle of the ball, and he's like a Hollywood, you know, party boy and it guy, you know, after he's made all this money selling the company, he also gets exposed to the Terrigen Mist and gets these like crazy superpowers. So he's become like, especially post Civil War, like the poster child for superheroism. You know, a lot of it's PR work. It's kind of like a modern Captain America thing, where basically he's out there for SHIELD and the government as like, you know, America's superhero, not like as Wonder Man, basically. But the whole purpose of him is to, you know, be in pictures and give superheroism, you know, a good name in spite of everything that's happened. You understand where I'm coming from with that? He's more PR than he is actual superhero.
Yes.
Okay. So the brother, Eric, is jealous and pissed, and you know, and at first he kind of does the Iron Man thing where he builds armor and goes after Wonder Man. That ends badly. He ends up finding out, and this actually happened in the comic. He learns about something called the Death Seed. He goes looking for the Death. He spends the last of his money looking for the Death Seed, and he gets it, and that gives him magic powers. And he fully becomes.
Is the Death Seed?
Yeah, that's actually from the comics.
Okay.
He finds this ancient artifact called the Death Seed.
Okay.
And it gives him inherent magic powers, and that's what turns him into the Grim Reaper.
Gotcha.
Okay. Some of that can be dealt with directly in the movie. Some of it can be dealt with elsewhere, but essentially that's that story. So the impetus for Wonder Man to want to create a secondary Avengers team is twofold. One, he knows his brother's out there, and when he realizes that his brother's become like Doctor Strange level powerful with magic or something along those lines, he was like, okay, I can't take him, but my powers are mostly physical. I'm not gonna be able to take him. I'm gonna need a team. The second thing is SHIELD wants to expand on the idea of the pro hero registration, pro Sokovia Accords Avengers team. They kind of want one that they can control a little bit more closely than the one that established by Tony and Captain America. So they bring in Hawkeye, they bring in Vision, they bring in Scarlet Witch, they bring in Mockingbird, and lastly, there's another Hollywood person out there calling himself Hercules. Maybe he's the god, maybe he's not. We don't know. He's telling people he is, but no one's really sure, and that's like his whole gimmick, because that's how he sells his movies. He's like Hercules in whatever this new action movie is, you know. So there's a lot of fun to be had with that, and the reason why they have him on the team is they want people on the team who can promote a good image,
kind of like Thor in the Ultimate Comics.
Yes.
Okay.
So now that's how you have your team. You have your villain in the Grim Reaper, but a lot of this movie is also the kind of the rise and fall of Vision and Scarlet Witch's relationship. I would want to see her sort of experiment with the idea of having kids and then losing them and really losing her mind. That's where I would want this picture to go.
Yeah.
So it's got to partially deal with, you know, the villain of the week kind of a thing, but that's why I chose sort of like a C-list villain like the Grim Reaper, because I want that to be almost overshadowed by the Vision and Scarlet Witch's relationship rising and falling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it ultimately ends with the Scarlet Witch having completely lost her mind and having to be, you know, to be sent away or put in the raft or something like that. But basically, she can't exist out in the real world. She causes like way too much damage. And that leaves the Vision without the love of his life, and that sets us up for the Vision series.
Okay. Now, are you stopping there and we're doing the Vision series based off of what we got in the comics? You said that would be the case, right? With other than some production or some editing and stuff like that. But anything that you would like to see added, like in a Vision series, off the top of your head?
I think if I was the showrunner on that, I wouldn't make them look like androids. I'd actually make them look like, you know, people with
like what we
yellow.
See here. Or do you actually mean like? I mean, because obviously in the comic book we have pink-skinned but they're wearing suit and tie and whatever. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you see the Infinity War trailer, there's a scene where it's Paul Bettany with just a yellow crystal on his head. I would rather see that.
Okay.
I think it keeps costs low on special effects and costuming, but it's a little bit more realistic. But I would essentially tell that same story where the Vision becomes like the liaison to the White House between like Shield and the White House, and he's living in Washington D.C. and he just creates this family out of whole cloth. And it starts with the best of intentions and goes downhill very quickly. You obviously can't use the Grim Reaper in this. You'd have to come up with something else. But essentially, there's enough. Like the Watchdogs are still out there. There's all these other entities that you can either use that have already been established or create for the purposes of attacking the Vision family in their home and having the wife kill said person, then hiding the body, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And the rest of it kind of writes itself.
And you said you wanted to see that as a TV series, you said, not a movie. That would be a great TV series for the Vision portion of things. But you want the movie to set it up.
Right.
Gotcha. Ronnie Adams, what do you think, man?
I think it's a great idea. Couple of questions.
Sure.
Do you think, first one is, how would you cast everything? Would you keep the established characters the same?
I don't know if obviously Vision from the movies is going to be able to portray Vision in the TV series. It's rare that we get that.
Yes,
level of.
And I thought about that. It would have to be. This would be something where you'd have to sit down with Paul Bettany and be like, "Hi, we want you for sign this contract that says you're going to do this movie followed by this series." And if he agrees to it, great. I don't. Does he take scale? Does he take the same price that he would get for a movie? I mean, I didn't really know anything about Paul Bettany before the Iron Man movie, so it's not like he's commanding Stallone money in the or Schwarzenegger money in the 80s. I would a conversation to be had with Paul Bettany about, hey, here's an opportunity for you to do a movie where you would be one of the stars. You really have a good meaty leading role, and then you get your own TV series on Netflix that would only be about one season. I can't see a second season of The Vision.
No, because the Vision series kind of stops.
Yeah.
Has
there ever been quick trivia? Has there ever been a movie star that has transitioned into a series of the same?
Not of the same, but Michael J. Fox went back and forth between TV and movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it can be done. I'm just curious because we look at like say Justice League, the movie, and that I just couldn't get into them casting another guy other than the guy who plays the Flash on CW. I was like, it just wouldn't feel right to me. Now I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say that for sure.
I think they're. I want to say, well, their feelings were kind of hurt that they weren't asked to be in the movie.
I wouldn't blame them.
So I mean, you had the perfect cast anyway, but you kind of ignored them for everyone else
because it didn't. Yeah, because it didn't.
They weren't mesh or whatever.
Yeah, they weren't the typical Hollywood stars. Plus, maybe those types of characters portrayed on the small screen did not match the vision that they had for the big screen. So I understand that, but
the vision they had for the big screen didn't match anything that
anybody wanted.
Anybody wanted.
Well,
I mean, I like Justice League. Don't get me wrong. It's not. I hate to keep comparing it to Marvel, but that's all we've got to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so would you keep, of course, Renner as Hawkeye, and here's the other deal. Simon Williams. I mean, would you keep him because we all know that he is on screen, be it in pictures or whatever, he is portrayed by Nathan Fillion. Would you keep it the same?
I don't see why not. Let me see. I don't even know who Nathan Fillion is. Let me.
Hold on. You're talking.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Castle from Castle. You're talking about Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly.
Yeah, I didn't know he portrayed. I didn't know he portrayed Wonder Man.
Well, there's just posters of his, in the new. I think it's in just in the new Avengers movie.
Oh, okay.
Posters of him as he's portraying Tony Stark. Like they did Jobs, the movie Jobs, about Steve Jobs. And, it's just called Stark, and it has him playing Tony Stark. It has a few other. He's the hottest movie star of that time.
Okay.
As in the comic book, the comic books, he was a movie star. He was just
yeah.
And then after he got his powers, he continued to be in movies, and so that it made him even more famous. But in House of M, if you remember, he was being interviewed by Dazzler, maybe. I
think you might be right.
And yeah, Dazzler, and because he didn't give up being a movie star for being an Avenger, being a superhero, and he didn't get his photon powers or whatever they are now. That's I miss the old Simon Williams of just being really, really strong and you're indestructible. But so the other question is, do you think that a Vision series based on this comic book that we're about to talk about would be too much of a niche market to really be successful?
I don't think it's any more niche than Jessica Jones or
Punisher.
Okay, but because you've got your action, you've got your drama, you got your romance in these other, in Punisher, Daredevil, Jessica Jones. Well, Jessica Jones really not a lot of action, but it's you prey on the whodunit fans, the detective fans. And
did you see Ozark?
I saw parts of Ozark. Yeah,
about mention that. I was going to say, if there's any show that I could think of off of Netflix that really focuses on a family going through some shit, it was Ozark for sure.
They go through a lot of stuff in that,
right?
It's mostly because of the dads.
But I mean, that's a lot of what this is.
That's true.
I mean, let's take for a moment. This is the story about a family where the wife commits murder in the house and the husband covers it up. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens is that somebody breaks into their home and tries to kill them and ends up critically injuring the daughter. And then the brother, in defense of said daughter, chokes a kid out in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so the father of said kid says, "Get out of my neighborhood, you crazy people." And in the midst of threatening the mom, shoots his own kid.
Right.
And everything is covered up. I mean, what you have is this family descending into hell.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I think, as far as drama and being, a good watch, I'm totally down with it, because as far as, the story goes, the story is a Netflix series.
Yeah. It would flourish on Netflix. I think it'd be tough to throw it to like ABC.
Now, I completely agree. I completely agree with everything, and I think Mark has great ideas always. Well, except for when he picks out books to read. But
Heavens,
I was just playing devil's advocate, just saying, hey, what if, or hey, I
thought those were all good questions. Did you like my idea about Hercules, where it's not totally
completely
established that he's an Olympian god? It's like, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. That's what he's telling people, but he's very coy about it. And really, I don't even want the film to reveal it. I just want him to be like a smarmy, muscly ass.
Well, that's kind of how I was hoping they would take Thor in the new movie. Mm-hmm. Almost. I'm completely happy with all three Thor movies, no matter what anybody says. Throwing a little shade, but part of me wanted the ultimate Thor line. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Of nobody really knew if he was being serious or not, or if he really was, the actual Thor, God of Thunder, or if he was just insane and he got his powers from Tony, something that Tony Stark designed, as in the belt and the hammer and everything else.
Right. I want John Cena as Hercules, but I want him to play him as John Cena.
You know what I mean? Now you're getting into the absurd. Just like your Dazzler, I wanted her to be played by Taylor Swift, only as Taylor Swift. Now I'm like, I can't be. I don't know if I'm behind you on that one.
No, but in all seriousness, could you imagine like someone like John Cena, who's just
it would be hysterical.
It would be. Because I don't want that character to be super serious, because then then the movie audience, I don't think, really gets it. Like, oh God, another God. No, yeah. I want him to be just that horrible, annoying,
upbeat.
What do you call it? What do they call it in wrestling? Something babyface.
Babyface, yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to be John Cena.
It's just
can't help but like him.
Right, smiling and kissing babies and and taking all these ridiculous action roles. And I don't want the Rock. I want John Cena. I want Mr. America, to be Hercules. I think that's the Marvel role for him. I think that'd be hysterical.
Yeah.
He's certainly got the body for it. So,
the Rock is definitely DC.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but.
You don't agree with the casting of Shazam, huh?
It's a whole other podcast.
I will say this. I'm a fan. I think he'll do a great job. I think The Rock, of course, will do a great job as Black Adam. So
yeah, let's see if they actually get the thing filmed.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like it's hit a bunch of hiccups here lately.
But yeah, that's my movie. One part, they're essentially, this is the government's opportunity to promote an Avengers team, completely working for the government, but like there's like cameras on them, and and it's always a lot of like smile for the camera, there's like a TV show like dedicated to it. It's kind of that New Warriors concept, but it's a Shield propaganda. It's a Shield propaganda angle.
Yeah.
And the link to all of this is Wonder Man is working for Shield, but he's also like a Hollywood it guy. And so you have another actor in Hercules, and then you have your actual Shield agents in Hawkeye and Mockingbird, and then your carryover Avengers in in Vision,
Scarlet Witch, and right. Hawkeye. Yeah.
So make it happen, Kevin Feige. You know where to reach me.
All right. Well, Mark Radlish, thank you very much for bringing that to Source.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean,
would love to see it, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully something happens. I know the one thing I absolutely want to see is the Marvel Universe give us a taste of some of the heroes that maybe aren't your B or your complete A-list stuff. I mean, we love. For a while, I would consider the Guardians of the Galaxy a B-list or maybe even C-list for a while. Now, Ronnie, you might disagree.
No. I completely agree, because nobody really knew about him before this movie.
Yeah.
And I was reading them before the movie.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy, and I was a little scared when they weren't going with the original lineup. But I thought about it. I was like, no. They're going with the right, because you got a talking tree and a talking raccoon and all this other stuff. Then I thought about it, the original one from the 60s, where Yondu was more like a Native American that had an actual bow and arrow that he controlled with his whistle. And his mohawk, his fin was much more pronounced. And then, Starhawk and a few others. I was like, no, they're going the right way with Star-Lord. And when Chris Pratt was cast, I was like, okay, yeah, they're definitely going in the right direction. But it's just, you know, they're definitely A-list now, and everybody wants to read Guardians of the Galaxy. Everybody wants to, you know, be Star-Lord for Halloween or whatever. I mean, shoot, they're getting their own ride at Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's crazy to see that, you know, and I agree. You know, Punisher, Daredevil, you know, the only two out of the series on Netflix that I can say were kind of B-list were Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And you know, Jessica Jones too, but she's more C-list. But I would say with the general public, not with us, that she had the least popular, you know, least talked about, I guess, series of whether it be good or bad of the Marvel ones. But but I want to, you know, like I'm reading a book, you know, Next Wave Agents of Hate. They're taking characters like the Captain, which is a real, you know, a real Marvel character. Look him up. He's been Captain everything, so he just finally settled on the Captain because he's tired of getting sued and everything else. And Captain America washed his mouth out with soap one time because he was Captain and then a curse word.
Are you kidding me?
No, it was a story in the book that I'm reading that Captain America just whipped his butt, and then he woke up in a dumpster with a bar of soap sticking out of his mouth.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then, so it's got the Captain, Elsa Bloodstone, which is a monster hunter, Boom Boom from the New Mutants, and then Photon, who used to be Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel, or I think she was Captain Marvel, but she was in the Avengers, and she led the Avengers for a while. And then you've got who else? I can't remember any. Oh, Machine Man is in there, and they're all led by a thinly veiled knockoff of Nick Fury, called Dirk Anger, who is just completely unhappy with life.
Oh, I think I remember you mentioning this guy.
And he actually, there's one scene in the comic book where he's sitting in a giant pistol, a giant revolver with the barrel bent towards his face, and it's controlled by levers, and he pulls it and it clicks, and he just says, "I'm so alone." And that's where it ends. I mean, it's kind of, it's sad.
Depressing.
It's depressing, but it's kind of, but if you know the character, it's hysterical because he is so over the top with everything he does, and his, you know, his portrayal of a Nick Fury type character. They're like, you know, he said, "I'm 90 years old. How do I stay so young and good looking?" Drugs, lots of drugs given to me by the government. So, you know, it's just, it's hilarious. And I'm loving it because it's not B or C. It's like Z-list characters, and they're bringing them to the forefront. So I enjoy stuff like that.
All right. Well, we know Marvel can do it. That was,
absolutely.
You know, that was where I was going with that for sure. Is that we know Marvel,
everything they touch turns to gold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's go ahead. We'll get into our main topic this evening, and that is the 2016 Vision series. The creators, according to what I'm seeing here, Tom King. This will be I believe, our second reading of Tom King. One of us had his Batman Elmer Fudd crossover.
Yes, we did. And I actually like that.
Yeah. So this is our second dive into Tom King here. We also have Gabriel Hernandez Walter, which I believe is the penciler, Michael Walsh, and on colors is Jordi Belair. So this came out in 2016, and it's about the Vision. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead, just standard source material format here. I'm going to go ahead and synopsis the first 4 issues. Actually, I'm going to read the solicit first, and then I'll give the first 4 issues. Mark's going to have a talking point. 5 through 8 will be me, and then Ronnie has 9 through 12, and then we'll come together and give you our final thoughts. All right. So any questions, comments, anything else you guys like to talk about before we get into it? I'll go ahead. Ronnie Adams, you ready?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Mark Radulich.
No, I'm good. I mean, unless you guys want to praise my ideas more.
Mark, you are a genius.
Yeah,
I do have one question.
A big audience just clapping right after you finish.
I do have one question. Before the movies, before anything else, what did anybody have any like extended experience with Vision?
So you're asking, like, is there? Do we have any?
Did you all read? Avengers? Did you read any?
Oh yeah,
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, no,
Vision, Scarlet Witch.
When I was a kid, Avengers was like my main title, and I read at a time that the Vision and the Scarlet Witch were in there, and I was aware that they were. I might have actually even read the limited series that they were in. It was, I think, after they broke apart and she went crazy that I wasn't reading anymore. But when they were an item, I was big into the Vision.
Okay.
I have not. I can't think of really too many titles that I read that included the Vision in them. I mean, I've read some Avengers. I own like most of the run for West Coast Avengers, and I know he was all through that, but I don't think I've read them. Honestly, dude, they're one of those things that sit in a long box and I've never pulled out and read. Mm-hmm. I was aware of the character. I knew that what his original costume was. I knew that he turned to white at one point, which is mentioned in this series, and so I knew that. I did have the opportunity, and I might have talked about it on this podcast, to actually pick up his first appearance at a auction about 3 years back.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was probably the hottest comic there. There were some really nice comics there, but I ended up making a friend at that auction because he beat me. Of course, I think he beat. I was out at near the beginning after it got to like $30 or $40 for this lot of comics that was together. But the first appearance of Vision was still going for quite a bit. But yeah. So anyway, other than that though, I don't know much other than he was an android, synthezoid, whatever. And man, I'm trying to think of any big storylines where I've read that he was a part of, and honestly, No,
do y'all prefer the monochromatic Vision or the green and purple and pink?
I will go ahead and say green, purple. I don't really like the white Vision or whatever.
No, I was never into the white Vision.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get our solicit here out of the way. The Vision wants to be human, and what's more human than family? He goes to the laboratory where he was created, where Ultron molded him into a weapon, where he first rebelled against his given destiny, where he first imagined that he could be more, that he could be good, that he could be a man, a normal, ordinary man. And he builds them. A wife, Virginia, 2 teenage twins, Viv and Vin. They look like him. They have his powers. They share his grandest ambition, or perhaps obsession, the unrelenting need to be ordinary. Behold the Visions. They're the family next door, and they have the power to kill us all. What could possibly go wrong? So I assume this is the solicit. This was straight taken off of Read Comic Online. But so there you go. Let's go ahead and we'll dive into issues 1 through 4. And again, it's the Vision. He's trying to have a normal family and almost kind of like a normal life, which is something out of the ordinary for a synthezoid like the Vision to seem to want to possess. So our family, the Visions, I guess is what we'll call them from here on out. The Visions struggled to appear normal like your quintessential family. Dad has a job. We have a stay-at-home mother in Virginia, and the kids attend a normal high school. Until one night, while the Vision is away, driven mad by the thought of the Vision and his family being created off of the brain patterns of his brother, the Grim Reaper interrupts Virginia and her children at dinner, almost killing Viv. In an entirely unexpected fit of rage, Virginia savagely kills the Grim Reaper in front of her kids and attempts to hide it from Vision. The only problem is Leon Kinski. I don't know if I'm hoping I got that last name right. Leon Kinski, the father of Christopher Kinski, or CK, a close friend of Viv's from school, used his phone to tape Virginia burying the Grim Reaper in her backyard the following day, and is now blackmailing her to get the Vision family to leave the neighborhood. After arriving at the address given by Leon, Virginia confronts him. Leon lets her know that he was once in the service and is packing a firearm, and when their conversation gets heated, we'll say, he draws his weapon and fires. Virginia is able to phase, or pretty much become intangible, similar to the Vision, and the bullets go through her. But unfortunately, standing behind her is CK, who is instantly struck by the bullets and killed. Even though it was unintentional, Virginia shortly punches the angry, grieving father, rendering him unconscious as well. And that's kind of where we leave issue 4. So that is a jam-packed synopsis right there, as short as we can make it for issues 1 through 4. Mark, we're jumping into the Vision here. Give us your thoughts on the first 4 issues, or a talking point here, something to go off of.
Well, first of all, if you can't already tell by the fact that it inspired a movie pitch and a television series pitch, I loved this story.
Yeah.
I thought this was absolutely fantastic. Let's start with the obvious thing here, and that is the Vision dealing the Vision's sole purpose. I mean, the fun thing about androids in fiction is that they all seem, there's the one unifying factor is they all want to be more human.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Data or the Vision, there's so many other like android characters in comics and literature and television and whatnot, where they endeavor to be more human or understand the human experience. And it's kind of fun to take human everyday concepts and run them through the visage of a completely intellectual and emotionless robot. That's some of the best stuff in this comic is their definitions of humanity, and they're just cutting and right to the point. That's one of the things I loved about, in the first 4 issues, they're very philosophical. And so the whole concept of the Vision feeling, this need for belonging, this need for family, and understanding how family drives behavior, it drives purpose, it creates purpose. I thought those were great concepts to play around with.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, this book hooked me. I'm really sad that I waited this long to read it, because it was like the talk of the town last year.
Well, this goes without saying, and we have not had the opportunity to mention it on here, but this is clearly Josh Calandris's. Ronnie, we've been part of conversations with Josh where he's brought this up.
He's been begging us for a while to do this.
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately, he had to work tonight.
Yeah,
or had to go on a work trip, I think. So I'm really sad that he's not here to talk about it, because you want to hear that man get passionate, mention this storyline.
Yeah, he really liked this, and this was something he had no qualms saying, hey, you pick this up, and it just ended. I mean, I remember when it just ended, he messaged us. I just read that last, and it was kind of sad when, he knew that the series was ending. Tom King was not going to be doing it anymore. And I was like, Josh isn't going to have that to hang on to, which, the story was told here, and I'm jumping ahead of myself, but the story was told here. We got 12 issues. And it's a great story. But regardless, yeah, Mark, it was the talk of the town. I like the fact that, this is kind of a very in-depth breakdown of what a family is, whether you're Android or not. I honestly think there's a lot of truth in the appearance of normality that people put so much of a weight on.
Mm-hmm.
That is true for anybody, any race, color, creed, religion, whatever. You're trying to fit in. Ronnie, go ahead, man. You got anything you wanted to say?
Oh, no. You go right ahead.
Okay. Mark, what anything you said that was number 1. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about on there?
Well, let's get right into the meat of the plot, and that is the the vision is based on the brainwaves of Simon Williams, Wonder Man, and Wonder Man's brother is the Grim Reaper, and so he immediately takes umbrage with not only the existence of Vision, but the fact that then Vision created more of himself in creating a wife and 2 children. And I'm always, this is where Ronnie and I always have fun debates, because I like to play devil's advocate, kind of see both sides of the issue, and I can completely see where the Grim Reaper is coming from. Not the first person to rise up and say science is an abomination of God. So, that's also as old as time itself. So the fact that he would run in there and immediately like stab the daughter and try to kill everybody in the room, it was just like, this is an affront to me personally, and again an abomination in the eyes of the Lord, and I will not stand for such nonsense any further. I
don't think he said abomination in the eyes of the Lord, did he?
It was inferred.
No, it wasn't.
I thought Grim Reaper was clearly disturbed.
He's a madman.
Dude, when you see his face and he's busting through the wall,
villain.
He looks like he is absolutely insane. His eyes are all googly, and I was just like, okay,
I got the page.
Okay.
Behold, the Grim Reaper. Imposters, frauds, artificial jokes, imposters. You pretend to be my family. You aren't real. Simon is real. I'm real. Did you think I wouldn't find you? Everywhere I look, I see you. Everyone is so eager to share their photos of the near perfect family, a family made from a stolen copy of my own brother. When will you learn the Vision is not Wonder Man? You are not a family. You are not real. And then she fucking murders him with a cookie sheet a la ECW.
She does too, man.
She does well on him with it. Out. It's ridiculous.
Takes him out. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, personally,
I can understand where he's coming from. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, man.
Hang on. Before you get into that, you don't see that that implied in all of that was you aren't an abomination in the eyes of the Lord?
No.
All right.
No, I don't see that.
Okay.
I see somebody that is clearly mentally disturbed. He is a supervillain who has tried to kill his own brother on multiple occasions. All right. Just because his brother is a superhero. So he stays ticked off with his brother about that. But then when somebody tries to copy, or uses a copy of his brother's DNA, brainwaves, whatever, brainwaves, and makes a artificial life form, it's not about how much he loves his brother. It's all about him. It's jealousy. I see jealousy in there too, because he's jealous of his brother. It's not in the front. It's just the fact that they're using Simon and not him. Okay. So he uses the guise of this is terrible. This is like you said, an affront, to my family. No, it's an affront to you because you feel like you deserve, the credit that Simon's getting. That's what I got from it. So what does he do? He goes on a murderous rage and tries to take out what,
like you do,
and tries to take out what, he tries to kill his own brother again, basically by trying to kill this family, under another guise of, you're not natural, you're not normal. So it is, it's not a fact that science is an abomination. No. I love science, and I love my faith as well. So it's kind of like one of those things where, like, it's not that, it's the fact that you're jealous that someone else is getting the attention. That's what I took from it.
I'm no way insinuating anything about your faith.
Oh, I know. Okay. I'm just saying that there are people out there of faith who like science as well. We're not all Westboro Baptist Church,
Okay, I wasn't insinuating that either.
Mark believes that I
hate science.
Hate science.
Ronnie Earth loves goat penis and is a flat earther.
Dear God. But no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that, it isn't that at all. If that's what they were trying to insinuate, if that's what Tom King was trying to get at, that's not what I got out of it at all. Because
and reading over it again, I still feel like that's where this is coming from, because I think if you read between the lines, what's happening there is, let's take this back 100, 200 years, and the Grim Reaper is a white family, and these are black people. And it's still, your existence offends me.
Okay.
Let's take.
What did that stem from?
Ignorance, hatred.
Yeah, exactly. Fear. But maybe jealousy. I don't know where most hate comes from.
No, I actually could see that, because I think I think what ends up happening is, you're seeing it now without getting into a whole political thing, is everyone's happy until suddenly your job is gone, your sense of purpose is gone. Then you start looking around to people who are different from you that are successful, and you blame them.
Right, and it's not their fault at all.
Right,
it's just the fact that maybe you were really bad at your job.
But not even that. Look, it used to take 100 people to make a widget 50 years ago. Now it takes one person controlling the machine that does it.
Right. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. It's not always that. That you were bad.
Right. Sometimes you used to make widgets, and but it was a union job that paid you $30 an hour. Now we can get Chinese Chinamen to do it for a fraction of the price.
Right. And it's just, okay, we'll take this. I had a job not too long ago that paid me very well for what I did. And it is a full-time job. It was, hard hours at times. And I got paid hourly plus commission. And so I was getting not only paid, 40 to 60 hours a week, but I was also getting commission on top of that. Well, recently they've gone to the formula of, we don't need full-timers anymore, so we're hiring nothing but part-timers that don't care about health benefits or the hours. So we'll hire younger people, college kids, people are just need a job. Younger kids that are moving out of their parents' home for the first time just need a good job. Pay them lower wages. They don't care about health benefits. They don't think about that, because I didn't when I was 18, 19 years old. They've gone to that formula because it's saving them millions and millions of dollars. And that leaves a lot of people that have had that job that enjoy the benefits of full time and everything, that leaves them out in the cold. So, there's probably a lot of hard feelings. Is that the person that gets hired in their spot's fault? No, but usually they get the blame for it.
Right.
So, it just stems from being in a bad place mentally. We'll even say mentally, spiritually, maybe sometimes physically. And he took his aggression in this book. He took his aggression out on the wrong people, and in a horrible, horrible way. He decided to go in and stab a young girl, even though she may not be a living, breathing human being. We all know that that Vision has the capability of feeling, of having feelings and emotions, be it sometimes they're cold, but he does have feelings, emotions. He fell in love. He was married, and he just wants that feeling again. So he created a family. This is his family. They are quote unquote alive. So he goes in and he kills or tries to kill them. So he tries to get rid of them, and it's just, he's a horrible person, and he proved that.
I want to read real quick. I'm reading this letters page. This is the end of issue 2, I think. Mm-hmm. Tom King wrote a was a page here. But anyway, I want to read this paragraph. This kind of sums it up a little bit here about the whole book, but it says Vision's chaotic quest for the normal will be the central theme of this book. We will look at how the world reacts to his noble attempt, how that reaction warps him and his family, sometimes for the good and sometimes for the bad. It is a tale of blood and kisses, of brothers and sisters, daughters and sons, husbands and wives, of betrayals and high school and guns and lasers and bureaucrats and avengers and neighbors and suspicion and robots. And this is my favorite part. He says, and suspicion and robots, red-skinned robots peacefully living amongst us, comma, red-skinned robots trying to live peacefully among us. So he says it twice, which is interesting. Colt, you need to go upstairs, buddy. What? What are you doing down here? You need to be in bed. Okay, well, go tell your mom. Go tell your mom. She'll get you something to drink, okay? All right, thank you. All right, now, Mark, how about Virginia? I mean,
she can swing a cookie sheet. I'm sitting there looking at this panel, and she hits him with it, right? And you see blood come out, just crazy amounts for a cookie sheet. And the other word is snap.
I didn't
expect broke his neck with a cookie sheet.
That is probably, well, I don't know. There's some shocking moments throughout this whole book.
Yeah.
But that would be number one. Okay, this is number one on a list where if you're going chronologically, in my opinion.
Number two, because the number one for me was seeing Viv, her midsection explode with a giant blade.
Okay. That kind of shocking.
Yeah, well, the look of absolute horror on her face.
I think Virginia defending her family, I guess, really doesn't surprise me. Yeah. It's the cover-up that we get into that besets amongst all these. It's basically a chain of events that just continues to fall horribly for this family. Mark, do you have any comments on that?
Well, I think you have to look at this from her point of view, which comes out later in the book. And that is, she knew that if she came clean and admitted what she did immediately, there's an inherent prejudice to an android family living in a human community. So they're already starting behind the eight ball. Then she kills a guy.
Like you do.
Like you do. It's a funny thing, and it wasn't really addressed in the book. But it can't. I was thinking about it, especially living here in Florida with what's happened in the last couple of years, which is, the stand your ground law. When you think about what happened, the Grim Reaper broke into the house and for all intents and purposes, nearly killed one of the individuals in that house. And some would argue that, android or not, she had the right to murder the guy where he stood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not addressed here. And maybe it's not addressed because I think the bigger issue is once again the belief that, and maybe rightly so, these are dangerous beings. I mean, let us just call them what they are. They're superpowered androids. They have every single aspect of their being is superior to humans. And you're already dealing with a time in a community of prejudice. That's just going to add flame to the fire. And then she kills a guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they went right to the point of, there's no way we get out of this clean. There's no way we get out of this with anyone seeing our point of view. There's no Mark Radulich that stands up and says, well, he did break into their house and stab their daughter. He kind of had it coming. Nope. They're dangerous. Get them. They're dangerous. Kill them.
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way. There's a convicted murderer living, in a neighborhood, nice, quiet neighborhood. Everybody knows that he's a convicted murderer, but he's turned a new leaf. Someone breaks in his house, threatens his family. He takes the guy's life. Does he come out clean? There's going to be questions.
Yeah,
there's going to be questions.
There's always questions. You're already untrusted as a person in a new neighborhood. And I'm going to say that as a person who actually has moved into a neighborhood. This is a that I haven't been a part of this neighborhood for no more than, what are we going on, 7 months now that I'm living in right now. And this is a pretty close-knit neighborhood that I'm in. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's probably owned their own houses. And it's really strange how out of place I feel. And I'm just a normal guy. I mow my yard. I don't do anything strange here at the house. I try to be cordial to everybody, but I have that.
Oh, the loud metal you play every Wednesday night with the ancient arcane incantations that are chanted during those songs.
Don't know what you're talking about.
No idea.
Don't know what you're talking about.
No idea.
Watain?
No clue.
But
I called in on the show. You were there.
I have no idea what you're talking about, sir.
That's a feeling that anybody going into a new neighborhood it probably feels. So
wait, no, this I'm not insane. Okay. Mark Radulich, you were there.
We're still on this?
Yes. Mark is trying to make me feel crazy like he does.
I don't know, man. Maybe you were eating chips and imagined it.
Yeah.
I don't.
He eats the chips.
With the chips.
I know he eats the chips. But no, okay. So here's the thing. You're
how Ronnie doesn't fucking stab me. I don't.
You live in Florida. That's the only reason it hasn't happened. I mean, I wouldn't go for vital organs. I would just like a kneecap or something. Just give you a limp just to make you remember.
There you go. But no, I mean, just because you're an outsider, people are going to not trust what you have to say. What's up, Caleb? No, yes, I do. Here, now, could you please go to bed?
Can we ask Caleb what he thinks of the Vision?
Actually,
Caleb, would you trust a murderer that moved into your neighborhood? Caleb, can you sleep tonight? Because I just asked you that question.
Caleb, I have questions. What if an android family moved into the neighborhood? Would you immediately want to burn down their house?
Caleb, was Mark
gone? He is gone.
Was not Mark involved in a horrible album review?
He has no clue. All right.
I know, but I'm just not letting this go.
Apparently. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
Mark.
1 through 4. Any other talking points, Mark Radulich, or are we going to 5 to 8 right now?
No, we can go move on. I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, thank you, Mark.
12-hour podcast.
All right. Well, if you think of them, anything else you want to say, just go ahead and pop it out there here as we continue. Let's go into 5 through 8. All right. So, I mean, we had some pretty heavy stuff happen in that last issue on number 4. I mean, we didn't get into that, but I mean, CK getting killed by his own father inadvertently.
Oh, was that in 4 also? Yeah. No, we have to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So that's another situation where she's kind of accepting the blame for the murder for CK being manslaughtered, essentially. But the way I read it, and maybe you guys disagree, I didn't think she had really done anything wrong. She was invited into the house. He's threatening her, and she's basically standing up for herself. She doesn't lay a finger on him. I mean, it's kind of like Jesse and I get into an argument. I kind of get in Jesse's face. I'm not touching him, but I'm approaching him, and Jesse pulls a gun and shoots me. Like,
yeah. No, I totally agree. I didn't see her in the wrong in any way here. I mean, she didn't seem threatening to me. Yeah, she didn't seem threatening at all. This guy overreacted because, number one, he was scared of her, which I would be too. I mean, if there is just like we talked about, there's a superpowered android in front of me whose son already choked out my own son.
Right.
I'm also blackmailing said person. Okay, this is not, the circumstances behind
I'd
this.
be nervous going into somebody's home normal, that wasn't a super powered android that I was blackmailing.
Exactly. So
like you do.
I didn't get the sense that she was threatening him in any way, but I could understand his fear. But I certainly can't forgive the guy for pulling a gun and shooting it, whether his own son got killed or not. I mean, she wasn't. I don't know.
I'm going to ask a controversial question.
Okay.
Look, I don't follow comics closely enough to where I could make an assertion, but I've heard some things. I've heard some things said by Gavin. I've heard some things said by Pat, and so with that in your minds, do you think Tom King in that exchange was not only setting that up for plot reasons, but was also kind of giving a treatise on gun control?
Social justice warrior.
What he presents in that is essentially man has gun, man uses gun, man slaughters his own kid. As if to say, see, this is why we really don't want guns in homes. We're idiots and we end up killing our own children.
I'm
not saying that I agree or disagree with that argument. I'm asking if you think he's making that argument.
No, and I'll tell you why I don't think he is. Because it is not paraded about. Okay, it happens. It's a central plot to understand. As we see Virginia continue to lie and not disclose things. I mean, she co-cocks this guy, puts his ass in a coma, but doesn't say a word to anybody about what she did. So the whole gun control thing, yeah, it's an unfortunate accident. I believe that it wasn't his way of bandying about the whole political issue. Have you ever heard? Did you ever hear us, or do you recall us? And if you don't, that's fine. But Tom King was actually, I believe he was a member or employed by the CIA at one point. So the writer here has a lot of political ties, I guess you would say, governmental ties. So, but being a member of the CIA, which I've heard stories where supposedly this guy, there's things he can't talk about clearly. And I would imagine he's probably used a weapon and understands the dangers of said weapons. But me personally, I do not think he's trying to make a statement in that way, shape, or form in any way. Because if so, it would have been something more prevalent throughout the book. Let me offer
a counter to that. It's entirely possible he absolutely was making that argument, but kept it minimized so as to not aggravate it's like, I have something to say. I'm going to use this forum to say it, but I can't linger on it or I'm going to lose my audience.
Well, you could say that. I mean, you can almost say that about the entire Civil War, storyline.
With
registering the weapons.
Actual Civil War?
Yeah, the entire Civil War.
He's talking about Marvel Comics Civil War, right?
No, I'm talking about, Lincoln and everybody else saying, we need gun control.
You're being serious. Okay, my bad.
No, I'm not. I'm saying Marvel Civil War and having to register yourself.
We have miscommunication going on right now. Okay, so I got you. I just
want to say I was with you, Ronnie. I just didn't know if you meant Civil War 1 or 2.
1, because 2 was kind of bad.
Okay, I haven't read it, so I don't know.
Well, okay.
A lot of people die.
I don't.
The end.
Ronnie, do you go ahead and answer Mark's question? Do you think it was the purpose of Tom King here?
I didn't pick up on that. Now, It may be because I have a completely opposite view of that, and I don't look for that. Not saying that you do or your what your view is, Mark. I don't know your view on that.
Just call me a liberal panty waste and get it over with, okay?
Well, are you?
No.
Then I won't do that. Speaking of losing audiences, but I don't. I just didn't pick up on that at all. But they'll, Ronnie, you're a gunner. You don't understand this. people's views. More than you think. So no, I didn't see that at all. I didn't. I mean, I could be wrong. He could have, but I don't think. I don't think I am wrong in that. I don't think that was a view that a point that he was trying to share in that.
Facts are facts. We see news reports about an unfortunate, an unfortunate person, an unfortunate accident where a person dies in a gun-related incident many times throughout the news. Maybe it's because we're desensitized to it, but
you read about car crashes, planes going down, and lightning strikes as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I'm not going into that. Let me get my red cap out. Joking. But anyway, I just didn't pick up on that. Now, if you do want somebody that proudly proclaims his beliefs, go read the Flintstones. Or Snagglepuss, which I've only read the first one of that, so he hasn't really come out and, well, yeah, he has, but it's still terrible.
I can't wait to talk about those.
Oh, I can.
It's used as a great aspect to further the plot.
Yeah.
Clearly, again, more unfortunate stuff is happening to this family and Virginia, I guess we would say, where she feels she has to just pile more dirt upon the stuff she's trying to bury.
I guess I took it as a plot point, just like any, in movies or shoot down to your soap operas. You struggle over a gun and somebody gets hurt, no matter what. These are.
My main concern was like, how is Virginia going to be covering this?
Right.
There's no.
My main concern wasn't. Oh my gosh, there was a gun involved. It was, holy crap. How's she gonna get out of this? How's she gonna get out of this? And Viv's Viv's closest high school friend is now dead. Yeah.
I mean, geez, some horrible stuff.
What I love about this is the moral kind of, I don't know if it's moral ambiguity, but this is sort of the first phrase that jumped into my mind. But basically, everything that Viv does, you could argue, is both the right thing and the wrong thing given the circumstances. She kills the Grim Reaper because he's broken into their home and attacked their family.
This is Virginia.
Virginia.
She didn't do anything to CK. She was shot at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And by the very nature of her being, defended herself, and in doing so became air essentially. And so she was shot through, and what happened to him was a complete accident. And it just sort of, and then punching him in the head was like, well, I don't know what else to do here. But clearly I have, so I have to do something. And so she puts the guy in a coma. And it's like, on the one hand, these are not good things. On the other hand, what other choice in those circumstances did she have? And so she's clearly the villain of this story, but she's not
she's a very sympathetic villain.
Yeah, she's not reacting in any different way than I would have.
Right. This isn't a machine this isn't Ultron that, kind of lost its mind and decided humanity has to die. She keeps making hard choices that are
hard circumstances.
And it keeps going back to the idea of, well, I did these things because there's no way they're going to let us get away with it. No one's going to see our point of view. We're always going to be the bad robots.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and we'll move on to issues 5 through 8. So the Vision is soon taken in for questioning in the attacks at CK's house. Yes, the Vision. The Vision denies any of his family's involvement, actually lying to the police, as he said that he was with everyone the night that it occurred. During this time, it is evident that Virginia is unable to process the results of her actions. All right, she's already kind of losing it, but it continually gets worse as the issues go on. As things seem to fall apart, she is repeating words with no reason. and some very emotional outbursts occur. Struggling, you can see she's struggling internally, and she even says, you know, how do I fix this? I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix it. And she's trying to fix a lot of stuff. Things tend to get worse as a neighbor's dog ventures its way into the Vision's backyard and begins to dig, unearthing the Grim Reaper. And as the dog, I think, bites the scythe on the Grim Reaper's arm, it electrocutes and kills the dog in the process. When the owner comes over looking for the dog, the Visions, headed by Virginia, once again lie about what happened, saying they had not seen the dog. Enter Sparky, the synthezoid dog created from the brain of the neighbor's dog. Who created said dog? Who created Sparky? None other than the Vision himself. Now, throughout all of this, Agatha Harkness, which is this is a character that's been around the Marvel Universe for quite a while. She's actually the witch that raised Scarlet Witch. She becomes aware of a revelation of the future where Vision has become a threat and destroyed the Avengers and raised the world, I think is one of the quotes that she used. With this in mind, Agatha contacts Scarlet Witch, and they head to go warn the Avengers about what is going to occur. Now, issue 7, this is, Josh said that this was his favorite issue out of the whole series.
Let's get the one person that they don't trust the most that went completely fruitcake nuts and say, hey, listen, guys, I know what I did.
But there's some serious stuff coming.
There, you know, y'all got to check out my ex-husband who is happily married now. I think he's going to go crazy and kill everybody. Okay, yeah. Wanda, you have a good day, sweetie.
Don't cast any spells and say no more mutants.
Yes, let's not do that. Okay, issue 7. Issue 7 is a look back at the life of the Vision and Scarlet Witch. Their love for each other, their love for their own children. That's right. Vision and Scarlet Witch had 2 children. And
is it possible?
I don't know. And again,
weren't their children? Yeah, basically spells.
Yes.
Yeah,
they were apparitions.
Yeah, they were. She made them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And when she wasn't focusing on that, they would go away.
Yeah.
Crazy. So yeah, for their love for their own children, and eventually their marriage and relationship falling apart. This is the issue.
Is witchcraft.
This is the issue where we learn that Virginia was actually modeled after brainwave patterns of the Scarlet Witch that she willingly gave to the Vision.
Oh, that's why she flipped out.
Yeah, buddy.
No, I'm kidding.
No. I think you can make an argument for that because Virginia does say, I think towards the end of the issues, these things are going through her head. And it's almost like she has this jealousy. Did you see some of the panels where I think Vision mentioned the Scarlet Witch, or she may have thoughts have been running through her head of Scarlet Witch, and the look on her face when that happened? I mean, that's some storytelling right there. So anyway, so that was issue 7. Issue 8, we snap back to the present.
I like presents.
Victor Mancha. Does that sound familiar, Ronnie Adams? Do you know of Victor
Mancha? A little bit.
Victor Mancha, another synthezoid son of Ultron and brother of Vision, comes to visit. We are treated to his interactions with the rest of the family, as Victor seems to have the unique opportunity to provide a shoulder to lean on and an outside perspective of living life as a synthezoid. Unfortunately,
strangely enough, this is not the weirdest family I've ever seen.
Okay. I'm from West Virginia, son. I've seen a lot worse.
Unfortunately, while playing fetch with Sparky, Vision's son, stumbles upon Victor in an adjacent house. In contact and updating the Avengers on his progress of infiltrating and gaining the trust of the Visions in order to make sure that the Vision and his family are indeed a threat or not. It is clear by the end of this issue that Victor does not intend to let Vin leave with that information. So Victor Mancha shows up and throws, I guess, a knife in the back of the Visions here. So, so that's issues 5 through 8. I guess my talking point would be, you know, it was refreshing to kind of see that love that issue 7, that love that Scarlet Witch and Vision had for each other, and it was told very, very well throughout. I can understand why Josh kind of, he sees that as his favorite issue, because that issue tells you a lot of the history that I assume probably occurred throughout West Coast Avengers. You guys probably know better than I do.
It did.
Okay. And that's kind of nice for me as well, because I don't know much about the Vision and his history. I didn't understand how, I mean, look, we're all human. It's kind of hard for us to understand how a robot can love somebody. I have a better understanding of somebody loving a robot with the way things are going nowadays, with all these sex robots and stuff popping all up.
Counting down the days.
I know. Mark Radulich knows where I'm coming
so
from.
Yours comes in, or I mean,
it's got interchangeable crotches for the wife and for the husband. Okay.
Did I tell you about the guy?
Jesse? No.
Did I tell you about the guy who I work with who thought I had one?
No.
Okay.
And he wanted me to bring it into work for like show and tell, and I'm like, no, stupid.
You have show and tell at work?
That'd be great.
If I show up with a sex robot, there's going to be a show and tell. I can tell you that much.
No.
What? What happened here?
Continue.
Just like no more. All
right.
Knock it off, you idiots.
So anyway, yes. So it was kind of neat to see how it was nice.
What's the matter, Jesse? You don't want to talk about sex robots anymore?
I do not. I regret.
I don't care if Jesse does or not. I don't.
I am. I'm the one that brought it up. I'm the one that's ending it. Here we go.
You act like this is your show or something.
The relationship between Scarlet Witch and the Vision, that's something that was kind of hard for me to understand as a person who has not read West Coast Avengers. I understood those two were together. I just, I didn't know what brought them together.
How.
I didn't. I didn't know.
I always thought he was like a Ken doll.
Well, yeah, nothing down there. It was just, but
that issue of the Avengers where Captain America and Thor is kind of hanging around like, hey, Vision, let's see your dick. Let's see it, buddy.
That's one I never want to read.
But
it was an annual.
I don't collect those anyway.
Yeah, backstory. It was just a 2-pager. Oh goodness. Anyway,
it's what the Avengers Age of Ultron scene where they're trying to lift up the hammer was really based on. Was an entire scene in the comic book where they were just all sitting around and just like, come on, Vision, let's see the dick. Come on, show us that android dick. And he's like, I don't want it, guys. Come on. Iron Man gets up, he shows his. He was just like, I dare you. I fucking dare you.
Who wrote this? Kevin Smith?
Not where I wanted to go. Not where I wanted to go.
Nobody wanted to go there except for Mark.
It's like I can't even talk about the Scarlet Witch and Vision being together without thinking them. Okay.
Sorry, Jesse.
Here we go.
A little something for the gag reel, huh? Waka waka.
Throw some silly music behind it. We got gold.
Some fart noises, some silly music.
I got a fart.
Comedy gold, my friend.
There it is.
You're welcome.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, I mean, I guess there really isn't much to. Okay. With issue 7 and their breakdown of those two together, I think it was really interesting. Go ahead.
Jesse's sweating right now.
I swear.
Jesse's hating us right now.
I'm gonna take my shirt off. Cool down. Jeez.
Whoa, no one said anything about your dick, pal. You keep that in your pants.
Oh, no.
Victor Mancha, give me some background on Victor Mancha there, Ronnie Adams.
He is a character from Runaways. He was created by Ultron. He thought his quote unquote. Well, he thought he was real the entire time, but he's more. He's a synthoid android, somethingoid. Android. What?
He's a paranoid android.
Paranoid android. That thought he was real. Thought his father was Dr. Doom. Then found out that his father was Ultron, who had created him for, of course, world domination, like you do.
Did he? Is he somebody different than what I'm thinking of here? There was a character, and I might be thinking of Young Avengers, but there was a character that showed up as Kang.
Different.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Answered that.
Gotcha. Kang was I didn't read much Avengers, so I'm not going to go into it.
It was like a young Kang or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought young Kang was like actually Vision, but
so it's definitely different from Victor.
Definitely different.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely different. But he was first introduced in Runaways, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only. Yeah, that was his whole background was a Runaway story.
Yeah, it was neat to see kind of some flashbacks to him hanging out with Chase from Runaways.
Yeah. And in the new Runaways series, Chase is actually carrying his head around, trying to bring him back to life because they miss him. Huh. But it's he is Vision's brother, and I never really made the connection. I kind of did when I was reading Runaways, but never really made the connection. I was like, oh, and then when it hit me in this, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, they are brothers.
Mm-hmm.
This is Viv and Vin's uncle. So it was really cool to see him go further in the Marvel universe. He was in the technological side of. I can't remember the team's name, but he was in that faction
AI.
of the Avengers AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so on a side note, it was really cool to see the certain he was one of them. Sister Grimm, I think those were the only two that went really any further in the Marvel universe. Gertrude was dead. Molly just kind of went and lived with family for a while, I think, and then Chase did his own thing and disappeared off the map. So those were the only two from the Runaway series that really went further in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of like ties in with the new Runaway series too, because what happens to Victor in this, has a lot to do with where he is in the new Runaway series.
Okay, very cool. There was a lot of talk about how Victor wanted to avoid the main. What was it like? The main goal of his programming, which was to betray the Avengers. That comes out here later in issues 9 through 12, and his, what he would consider his victory.
Yeah, he was supposed to be victorious, I think.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And take over the world, and will destroy the Avengers, take over the world, be a supervillain. But obviously, his time with Runaways negated that, and he became a superhero.
Yeah, that was the title of the 8th issue, was Victorious.
Yeah, absolutely. And which is really cool because he's keeping in with the V motif of the entire family.
Yeah.
Vision, Virginia, Vin, and Viv and Victor. Mm-hmm. So it was cool to see that, but and put all that together. But that's who Victor Mancha is. He is he was part of the Runaways and now is a fledgling member of the Avengers.
Okay, all right. Well then, Mark Radulich, that's anything you got to say before we move to issues 9 through 12?
Nope. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to talk about the finale of this series, and I'll kind of give a little bit of the epilogue that occurs in the 12th issue here. So Victor, like I said, we left off. Victor has Vin kind of prisoner. He's stopping Vin from leaving, and it's not pleasant. Okay. It's like he's almost kind of like electrocuting Vin and trying to keep him from phasing and getting away. But Victor's attempt to hold Vin prisoner is all for naught, as Vin is able to fire a laser towards his house to get his father's attention. During the struggle to escape the electrical grasp of Victor, Vin actually dies right before his mother and father reach him. After these events, the Visions are confined to their house by the Avengers. During this time, Vision attempts to help his wife come to grips with what has been happening, and he also witnesses his daughter Viv grieve over the loss of her brother. There's a very moving part in that. I can't remember which issue this is. I don't know if this is. I think it's issue 10, where the family's trying to come with they're trying to grieve or come to the realization that Vin has now is gone. And I messaged you guys a little bit about the part where Vision's kind of sitting down all by himself in his own room, takes his own eyeball out in a kind of a weird robot way, but sets it down and replays an interaction between him and his son. And it was probably one of the saddest parts of this book.
That was rough.
Because he watches that happen, and he's talking. Vin is trying to get his dad's attention as he's reciting, I think it's Shakespeare, I believe. He's really passionate about Shakespeare throughout this whole book. And he's just trying to get his dad's attention. His dad's like, well, I'm on a phone call right now. And you can just see, this is a testament to the art of this book, where that's happening in front of him. And then it all stops, and Vision he just hangs his head, because he's so distraught about the short time that he had with his own son before he passed away, you would say, before he got destroyed. So it's very sad, very sad. But after this, the Vision comes to the conclusion that his son's death must be avenged, and is able to escape confinement to confront his brother, Victor Mancha, and make him pay with his own life. Now, while the Vision is gone, Virginia confides in Viv the events that unfolded at Christopher Kinski's house that led to his death. Unsurprisingly, Viv blames her mother for her friend's death and storms upwards out of the room. Virginia,
like you do.
I do that all the time.
I remember when I got mad at my parents, I flew out of the room myself.
I floated on up.
We talked about it today. We think that my daughter is going to start, getting into puberty very, very soon, and we expect a lot of floating through the ceiling.
There she goes. I told you.
Young lady, you stop floating right now and come down here and talk to us. I don't want
when Kira floats away from you, Jesse, how do you handle it?
She phases through the door. I just walk right into it. It's sad. It's really sad.
Walk into the door.
Come back here right now.
Damn it.
Oh, you.
Mindy, come in here. Do something about this.
So Mindy phases through the door.
Why didn't I think of that? Unsurprisingly, Viv blames her mother for her friend's death, floats on up through the ceiling. Virginia is again unable to deal with the stressors around her, and she brutally kills Sparky. I mean, just throws him up against the wall.
Can I say that I was more upset about the death of Sparky than I was anybody else in the book?
The poor dog doing nothing.
No, wait a minute now. Sparky had it coming. He bit her.
Because she's mean.
I didn't recall the biting part. My bad.
Dogs are not supposed to bite their masters. The dog bit her, and rightfully so. In a moment of anger, she snapped its neck.
Oh, yeah, because that's what I do.
She didn't just snap its neck, dude. I mean, she snapped its neck, threw it up against the wall, disemboweled it. When you see the dog, its stomach is left open. Okay.
Well, you're not going to leave a stomach in a dead dog. I mean, that's just common sense.
For Pete's sake, no.
What? What?
Forgot all about that. I was taught that in school.
For the love of God, never buy your children any pets.
I don't want one. I don't want any pets.
Because they know you'll disembowel it.
No. We're just terrible pet owners. And
threaten the kids.
What happened to the dog? I had to rip its stomach out and peed on the carpet.
Well, no, you got to snap its neck first. You don't want to hurt the dog.
Oh yeah, there we go.
The neck snapping goes without saying.
Okay, so the dog's dead. Sparky is no more.
I can't wait for the gag reel on this show.
It's the darkest gag reel yet.
It's up there. Back at Vision's attack on the Avengers, the Vision is able to make quick work of them, even knocking out the Scarlet Witch after she desperately pleads for him to reconsider. Finally,
he gave her the old George Lucas.
I love you. Punch.
I don't know what he did. I assume.
Sorry. Punch. I love you. I forgot that the feelings come after the.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the Vision did, but he like phased his like part of his hand or his fingers into her chest, and then she's just laying on the floor. I don't know. Maybe he shocked her. I have no idea. But regardless, Scarlet Witch is knocked out.
He gave her the shocker.
Yeah, may have.
That would be a lot lower.
May have.
Hey, Mark.
Off panel.
Hey, Mark.
Sir. Yes, sir. All right.
Scarlet Witch.
I feel bad now.
she is out. Scarlet Witch is out.
I mean, I totally shouldn't feel bad, but I do because you were like, okay.
Okay,
bye. Finally, alone with Victor, Vision explains that he is here to kill him. When from behind Victor, a hand pops through his chest. Virginia has beat Vision. That's right. Virginia has showed up and beat the Vision to killing Victor, pulling Victor's heart from his chest. Now, the reasoning Virginia has done this, Virginia believed that if the Avengers and the rest of the world looked upon the Vision as a murderer, the whole family would be shut down as creations of a dangerous machine. Virginia's actions allowed the Vision to remain untainted and also give her daughter the best chance to remain alive. So that's kind of where we end things. The epilogue, man, it's a sad one. This issue 12, where Virginia sits down with the Vision after this has occurred, and she sets the record straight, pretty much, at least in her words, as they say. She calls the cops. She tells them everything that's happened. And then she pretty much drinks some poison. There's this water vase of Zen-La, I think, that's been floating around, and it shows up every once in a while in the issues. It's been a gift. I was given to Vision as a gift, I assume from the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And
they said in the first issue when they had guests over that it was a gift from the Surfer.
Yeah. So this thing just kind of sits around and floats, and Virginia just drank some of it in order to poison herself. After confessing everything that she did, or that she had done, she promptly dies in her husband's arms. Scarlet Witch, though, is able to repair Sparky and reunites him with Viv. And we are left to see Viv off to school after a conversation with her father about attempting to be normal. And they finally understand that is an unattainable goal. So there we go. That's the Vision. Ronnie Adams, I gave you closing comments here for 9 through 12. What do you got anything you want to bring up?
As far-fetched as everything is in a comic book, these are typical family problems. Mm-hmm. Somebody trying to cover up something they did right. This is nth level stuff.
Yeah, these are situations you're going to encounter over and over throughout having a family. That's for sure.
It's regret because a father loses his son too quick, and he looks back when he's done nothing really wrong. But anytime something regrettable like that happens, something horrible like that happens to someone you love, you automatically, the human mind goes to the point, one of the lowest points, and says, oh my gosh, I was such a terrible person to them. When you really probably weren't. Your mind thinks, oh, I didn't spend enough time with him, just because of that one time I was on the phone. Mm-hmm. That's from my, I'm not a father, but from my friends who are, and from my dad, that cuts deep. Mm-hmm. I want to spend more time with my, with my kids, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't I spend more time with them?
I think that's regret that you feel for after losing any loved one.
Any loved one, yeah. Absolutely. So it was interesting to see the android point of view of that. Of he regrets not spending more time with him. Did I do a good job? Kind of a deal. Going through his head. All these. For me, I got all those feelings from that one panel, just from his face, knowing that he doesn't have any more time with him. Did he use the time that he had with him wisely? And then, the mother who does something for the good of her family, and the teenage daughter who was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that." You were involved in this, which
How'd that go again?
You heard it. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Repeated 5 times. It'll happen.
Oh my god.
But it's a little heavier than that. But every mother that has had a teenage daughter or will have a teenage daughter will go through with that, or will go through that because they want to do something that's right. They want to protect their family, but they just see it as they did wrong. No matter what they do, they did wrong.
That is the action. If anything, the actions that Virginia takes throughout every single issue,
it was all for the good of her family.
Exactly. It was all for protecting the family unit. So
she brutally murdered a man with a cookie sheet.
Protecting the family.
Protecting the family.
Yep.
Like you do.
Like you do. I mean, she turned a baking utensil into a weapon.
She went and faced CK's dad, Leon,
right,
head on, right up front.
She was doing it for her family.
For her family.
And she didn't do anything wrong there, but she was involved in in the killing of her daughter's friend. And not hearing the entire thing or understanding where he came or where she was coming from, she automatically blames her mom. You were involved in this. This is your fault. So she flew out of the room like most teenage girls do.
Literally here.
Literally flew out of the room. So it breaks down real world family problems in a fantastic fictional way.
My wife asked me earlier. She was like, I was telling her about this comic and some other stuff. I didn't pitch her my West Coast Avengers movie because I knew I was going to pitch it to you guys who actually give a shit, and two, I have just learned that there's one way to lose my wife's attention. It's to start pitching movies. But because she can get them made, you know what I mean? So, but she asked me, she was like, you weren't reading comics when I first met you. Where did the sudden interest come from? I'm like, well, I've always read comics. You met me at a place in my life where I wasn't reading them because I had to focus on other things. But she's like, what's the attraction to you? And I said, well, I mean, they're just another form of fantasy. I've read Star Wars books. I've read Dragonlance books. I've read plenty of fantasy before, and the answer is the same for all of these. It's escapism. But I also talked about in comics and in superhero stories, there's a powerfulness in a place where it transports me to a place of powerful people, in a world where I don't feel particularly powerful. There's something that we've talked about privately. I don't want to get into it now. But there's a lot of frustration on my part, and so I can kind of go to these other places and see these other stories where individuals can just take the law into their own hands and can handle things like warriors, and it kind of gets me out of my own humdrum life. But the other side of that is I have read some phenomenal stories. This is one of those stories where the pendulum is right where it needs to be in terms of tone and theme and setting. This is a story that very much, even though it's about, androids and android families and superheroes, isn't really a superhero story.
No, not at
There's
all.
a lot going on here. This is some pretty great fiction. This is, this would constitute literature in a lot of ways. And I said to her, I was like, so some of the best stories I've ever read that, that talked about society at large and our place in it came from comics. Now the pendulum sometimes swings one way where it's the dark side war, and I come away from it, with a nosebleed, yelling, "Why doesn't anyone just rob a bank anymore?"
Why does everybody want to destroy the world? Just go get a couple million.
It ain't the world anymore. It's the multiverse.
Well, yeah, the multiverse.
And then the pendulum swings. And we talked about how great this was, but if it's nothing if not a simple storyline, Welcome Back, Frank is as straightforward as it gets. It's just a revenge story. I would not exactly say that Welcome Home, Frank constitutes great literature. It was a fine comic book story, but it's the best example I can think of the pendulum swinging way too far the other way, where that said nothing about society. That was just that was
just a fun tale.
Yes, it was. It was a Quentin Tarantino movie writ large on a comic book page. It's one man killing a lot of people until they ran out of paper.
It's bears.
This is right smack in the middle of that. It's not as overly complex to the point where you can't. It's not relatable the way Darkseid War was, but it's not as simple and as straightforward as Welcome Home, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about it.
Okay. I'm going, unless you guys have anything else you want to say final thoughts wise, I'll go ahead and give my final thoughts and we'll get into plugs. Anything else?
Mark?
I liked Vision kept saying, I really related to this too. Like, I am the Vision and I have saved the world 37 times.
Oh, yeah.
Because in a way, he was saying that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't.
He threw it out there with the principal, but he could bully the principal around. It's a school principal. On the other hand, when push came to shove, it didn't matter that he was the Vision and he saved the world 37 times. His wife fucking ECW'd a guy to death, and and in many ways was a part of the the manslaughter of a child. None of that mattered, and that spoke to me in a lot of ways. How no matter how much good you do, it never really offsets the bad. It's almost a disheartening struggle for perfection. You'll never attain perfection, but you have to try, because if you don't, you'll be punished for it.
I've saved the world 37 times, but it's still screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figure that it's a great representation to show you how powerful a person Vision is. But when it comes down to, just like anybody, you could be a complete superstar, political powerhouse, but if you don't have a handle, or the largest challenge you're probably going to face is your own family. I've said that so many times as I've become a father, that I have never been challenged more in my life than with trying to raise my kids to understand right from wrong, how to act properly, how to just be a contributing person to society. It is a daily struggle to do that. And not only that, I mean, these are super powered android beings that the Vision it seemed like he got into his head, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become a family man, and I want this to work. So again, you could be a superhero, save the world 37 times. That don't mean shit when you get home, take your boots off, and kiss your wife and sit down at the dinner table with your kids.
God, they'll let you know it.
Yeah, They will too. They will. They will. It doesn't mean a thing. This is a great piece of storytelling. I really do understand Josh Calandris's love for Tom King, because this right here is a great tale told by this man. So I will be glad to give some more stuff that Tom King is writing a chance. Right now, he's writing a character. Speaking of Dark Side War, I think this is the first time we've talked about, or that was the first time we actually talked about that character, and that's Mr. Miracle. Tom King is writing Mr. Miracle. That's his name, right? It's not. Why am I getting?
I actually have the Tom King run on Batman.
Really?
Batman. Yeah, I told you guys about that. I got him for Christmas.
That's right. That's right.
Gotham, and then I am Gotham. I am Suicide, and I am Bane. And I offered to cover these at some point on source material, and I was ignored. So.
Oh yeah,
you weren't ignored.
No one.
Big girl.
I am a sensitive girl on the inside. Well, especially the music I've been playing lately.
Watane.
Yeah, it's on repeat.
No clue.
The demons are summoned.
You are terrible.
All we've been playing in this house is a lot of 10,000 Maniacs and the Cranberries.
Cranberries.
Oh, a lot of Cranberries today. I'm so sorry she died. That's 46.
Yeah,
that's young.
That
dude.
Is scary. Yeah, that's 4 years older than I am right now. Or I will be in June.
Did they say how? I'm just curious. I didn't read it.
No, my wife said something about like she had like back problems, and I think she might have been addicted to painkillers. I don't know that for sure. I haven't really looked at it. I just like in all honesty, like I really did like the Cranberries. I've actually seen them live. And I have been playing a lot of that in the house, a lot of that, and Amy Mann and Tori Amos. A lot of sad woman music.
Good Lord, man.
Sad girl music. That's what we play a lot of the.
Do you light candles when you play this stuff?
No, we did laundry. It was even worse.
Oh my gosh. I just want you to probably play some like Bobby McFerrin and just dance around for a while tonight. Go to bed happy, my friend.
Don't worry, be happy.
Oh goodness,
Mark, why are you playing Who Let the Dogs Out? I don't know. I just need to feel something.
When you worry, your face will frown. That will bring everybody down. Don't worry. Be happy.
It reminds me of Family Guy when they push Bobby McFerrin down the steps.
When Roddy puts on some favorite music, it always turns to goat penis. But
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Roddy loves goat penis.
All right, Ronnie, do you have any other final thoughts you'd like to discuss, bring up about Tom King's vision?
I did. It's all gone now.
Nothing else.
This was
we'll wait.
This is an incredible book of how it takes such an extraordinary family and puts them in ordinary situations, and somehow they just want to be ordinary. They want to be normal. And no matter however they turn or what they do, everything gets blown all out of proportion and becomes extraordinary again. And it's just, like you said, there's no life-threatening, multiverse-threatening big bad in this. That's why it was so incredible, because it's so in-depth and intricate, and character. It revolves around the characters and how they feel and how they react to everything. And honestly, when you look at it, they react no differently than any other parent would. Be it, an artificial life form or not. That's what made it interesting to me, to see these characters. She's just defending her family. He's just defending his wife by lying to the cops, because he knows that no matter what they do, they're going to get the blame for it, and they're going to be taken away from him. And he doesn't want that to happen. So it was just it's a sad tale. It can be funny at times as well. I mean, when you look at it, I kind of want to point this out. When they had the couple come over and visit them, when they answer the door, they're all standing there with huge, gigantic smiles on their faces.
Scary stuff.
And it is the most terrifying thing ever. It's just like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? They're going to murder us because they look so, it's Stepford Wives-esque. And they have the conversation just like any normal couple would, of how they seemed nice afterwards, as they're throwing the cookies that were baked for them in the trash because they don't eat. It had me in.
I was reminded of that time when they took out Victor to dinner, and the waitress comes out and says, "Are you sure you don't want us to fix your meal for you?" And he's like, "No, just bring us the check here in about 20 minutes and we'll be
right." They ordered what I guess what they thought was normal, but they didn't want him to fix it. Just charges for the veal and the chicken parmesan and whatever the kids want, just charges for it and bring out the check. What?
That was some great stuff.
So beautiful art, beautiful writing. Loved it. I'm so glad we covered it.
Yeah,
and that's basically what I have to say about it.
Agreed. Just real quick before we get into plugs, just wanted to give you a heads up. Viv still continues on in the Marvel universe.
She's an Avenger.
I was just looking this up. She's a champion, at least at one point. She was part of the champions. I'll just read a quick blurb here off of MarvelWikia.com. After a failed mission to counter Earth, where Viv recruited a group of random academy students to help liberate a group of androids asking for help, Viv decided to be less rash and form her own team in a more organized way. Viv formed the Champions with Miss Marvel, who she had developed a friendship after joining the Academy. So this is Avengers Academy. I bet that's what you're talking about. But so yes, Viv still lives.
She's been going on missions with the Avengers now.
Okay,
with her dad.
Very cool. All right, well let's bring our discussion, source materials discussion about Tom King's Vision to a close, and we are going to go into plugs. Everybody's favorite time of the night. So, Mark Radulich, let's start with you, buddy. Plugs, sir.
Alrighty. Depending on when you're listening to this, as I say every week on this show, if you're listening to this live on Facebook tomorrow, we'll be talking about the Runaways. We're all going. I'm assuming both of you are going to be on for the Runaways.
I'm down for sure.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
All right. So myself, Jesse, and Ronnie. This will be Ronnie's opportunity to torture me, and Jesse's opportunity to not let me get a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
As I'll be hosting a TV party tonight for the Runaways, which ended last Tuesday, January 9th, and then on the Metal Hammer of Doom, we're gonna look back at the Cranberries. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna look at Corrosion of Conformity, the new album. When this goes live, there'll be a gag reel. Go right to it, then go back and listen to the whole show. That's what I do.
A listen is a listen.
I made my wife listen to the gag reel this morning. I'm like in the car, like pissed that it didn't drop earlier. I
haven't listened to it yet.
Wait till 9 o'clock. This is bullshit. The other thing was, I went back and I listened to the beginning of it, and I just wanted to hear the music, and then I turned it off.
Wow.
I want to get you, sucker. Don't you
That's
say
right.
that.
Isn't that a great song?
It is.
Mark Radulich, the man who can plug his own stuff. Yeah, I listened to the music and then turned it off.
Well, no, the
rest of it was crap.
It was a matter of I will listen to the whole thing in my car. In my wife's car, I didn't have the phone plugged into the stereo. So,
logistics.
So this little recording here, the Vision, will be up if you're listening to it on the Radlers and Broadcasting Network on January 22nd. In which case, tomorrow, the gang will come back again, and we'll do TV party tonight. The Orville season 1. It ended earlier, late last year, earlier this year. We're going to get it. We're finally getting it on the schedule to talk about it. So here we go. And then on the Metal Hammer of Doom, we're going to do Avatar Country. Oh, hell, the apocalypse. No source material unless Jesse has something in the can somewhere for the 29th. Instead, we're going to do a live TV party tonight for Black Mirror Season 4. So, if you're missing Jesse, you won't be missing Jesse because he'll be there. He's all over the Rad Legend Broadcasting Network these days.
Oh, yeah.
On the 30th of January, it's Sean's pick for On Trial. We're going to look at The Godfather Part 3. And then we close out January on the Metal Hammer of Doom with Machine Head Catharsis. If you're looking at more source materials in the month of February, we've got Saga Volume 1, which will be on the network February 5th. Red Sun, the old Superman Zakami story on the 12th. The Who is the Black Panther on the 19th. And then we end the month of February with Pirates Week Part 2. And we're going to talk about that famous pirate Aquaman, Volume 1 from the New 52, The Trench. So that's what we got going on.
Very good. All right. Ronnie Adams, I think you do a show, don't you?
Sometimes. I have a show called Screaming Boy Podcast, and we have a lot of cool episodes that are out there, and we got some coming out very, very soon. And then we've got some future ones planned. We're going to bring Josh Calanders back on, and we're going to talk about the second part of Runaways, and not to steal the Radio Legend Broadcasting Network's thunder on that, but it's just such a good show that we want to talk about it as well. And Calanders is pretty passionate about this show. If you missed it, if you missed it live, we've got it. We'll have it up on iTunes and all that really soon. We talked about our favorite TV shows, and Josh talked about Runaways on that and did one heck of a job. I mean, it was so good. Put me to shame on how unorganized that I am. Dude had bullet points. It was great. But we'll have him back on there. Future shows. I'm going to try to incorporate some video and pictures into these shows, but I've got some comic conventions I'm going to in March. I'm going to North Carolina Comic Con in Oak City, what it's called, North Carolina Comic Con Oak City, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's a lot of cool things going to happen to it. They haven't announced what events are going to be there, but they have announced most of the guests that are going to be there. The main event, to put it that way, is going to be Kevin Eastman from Eastman and Laird, who created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I actually get to meet him, have him sign some artwork for me, which is pretty cool. Then there's going to be, Richard Case, a few other, creators that are going to be there, artists, authors, and colorists, things like that. So that'll be really cool. And then in July, I'll be going to Raleigh SuperCon, where the guests will be Dave Bautista, Sean Gunn, both from Guardians of the Galaxy. Will be Amy Jo Johnson, the original Pink Ranger, and William Shatner will also be there. So depending on how froggy I'm feeling, I'll see who I meet. Unfortunately, I cannot afford to meet them all because they do charge for their autographs and pictures. But we'll see, what's going on with that. But they will be there. A lot of cool stuff. Raleigh SuperCon is a big event, so I'm really pumped about going to that. And actually, Jesse, Mark, I'm actually going against my word. For these cons, I said I would never do cosplay. Going to a con, I actually am going to try my hand at cosplay this time around. I've got most of my outfit figured out and what I'm going to do, and I've just got to build a few things. I'm going as a Ghostbuster.
Oh, that's fun.
I have the tan coveralls, flight suit, the boots. I just have to do the elbow pads. I've got everything. I just have to make sure they are. I'm going to go as screen accurate as possible. So the gray elbow pads, the gray pistol belt, Army pistol belt, things like that. And I actually had, if you go on eBay and look up No Ghost, screen accurate Ghostbusters patches, there's a lady on there that did a phenomenal job. Put my last name on a name tag, or a patch with my last name, and the No Ghost patch that goes on the right arm. And it is actually looks like it came right out of the movies. So bought those from her. She did a great job. I have plans to build a proton pack, ecto goggles, the whole nine. And it will all have cost me less than $200 to create.
Very cool.
So that sounds like fun, man.
Yeah, I said I never would do it, but going to these things and doing these shows have really stretched my comfort zone on a lot of things that I've talked about, done, experienced. I never thought I would actually get to go to a comic convention. So why not have as much fun as possible with it and try something new? So therefore, that is why I'm doing cosplay, and something that I never really got behind, never understood. Enjoy looking at, enjoy, seeing people dressed up and using their imagination, but that's not for me. So that's, just kind of taking myself out of my own comfort zone and saying, doing something I never thought I would do.
Oh, you'll have fun, man. You'll have a good time. Can't wait to hear about it, man.
Like I said, we'll try to get some video pictures, lots of pictures, of course, some videos, maybe some, a little bit of, hopefully some interviews, with some certain people I have there. I have a friend, I call him a friend. I don't know what he calls me, but I will say he's a friend. He wrote for Screen Junkies for a while, and has written books, for Faith and Fandom. He relates his Christian faith to comic book fandom. So he's a super cool guy. Has hosted several panels that I've been on. One of them was Nerd Slam. The other one was he actually did a versus panel where he just gave anti-heroes. Mine that I was involved in, brought to me and this other gentleman, and he said, all right, your topic is anti-heroes. You pick an anti-hero, you pick an anti-hero, and you tell us why yours would be his. And this was where Rob Liefeld was there. So the guy, of course, picked Deadpool. I picked Venom. Everybody voted for Deadpool, even though my argument was much better, because, they thought maybe that would help them meet Rob Liefeld. I don't know. But
the fix was in.
Yeah, the fix was in. So I as soon as he said Deadpool, I was like, well, I've lost. But just some cool stuff going on there. We got some shows lined up. Check it out. Check us out on social media: Facebook, Screaming Boy Productions, on Twitter at Screaming Boy PR, Instagram Screaming Boy Productions. We got some cool pictures. Go and give us a like. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and you had better subscribe to this network right here, the Rad Illichin Broadcasting Network.
Very good. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Go give that Radulich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. Go back in the archives, listen to the last episode, check out Black Lightning. We had a fun time discussing that 12-issue series that happened in the late 70s. A lot of surprises, in my opinion. I think we came away with that. Well, I should say, surpassed my expectations. We'll just put it that way for a late 70s.
Everyone, I was Pimp of the Year.
No more.
You can take the window or you can take the stairs.
No, kiss my natural black ass.
What is happening right now?
Do you know about the elevator?
Oh, goodness. That's great stuff. But yes, check that out. Black Lightning happened. Got released right here on the Radulich and Broadcasting.
It happened, all right.
Martin Luther King Day. So that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. That's let me go ahead and give you my Twitter. It's at Stiznarkey. The show's Twitter at SourceMattCast. You can follow us all, give us a like, do all that great stuff on Facebook. Twitter.
Everyone tweet Kevin Feige to make my West Coast Avengers movie.
Yes, please.
Tweet Paul Bettany, demand a West Coast Avengers movie and a follow-up Vision series on Netflix. Do this for me. Okay? Do this for me and do it for yourselves. You know you all want this movie that I pitched. You heard it, you loved it, pants came off, sweat was happening. It was, you all want to see this West Coast Avengers movie.
I don't know if any of that happened.
You took your pants off and jacket.
Everybody, that's right. Take off your pants and jacket. Everyone got excited about my West Coast Avengers pitch and Vision and follow-up Netflix Vision series. Now you got to get out there and let Kevin Feige know. Okay, let him know that he needs Mark Radulich on his team to help put these movies into production.
And if this happens, everyone tweet Mark Radulich and tell him he needs Jesse and Ronnie on his team to collect some of those paychecks.
That's right. I want at least 2%. Damn it,
Ronnie! I
want 10%.
Ronnie, I promise if I become a rich and famous producer at Marvel, you can be in my posse.
Okay, Wait, I'm not carrying your umbrella or tying your shoes or anything.
You'll do what I tell you if you want to ride that gravy train, buddy.
I want my ideas heard.
Oh boy. Well, okay. So go to blogtalkradio.com, search Radulich, find all these great shows in the archives. We talk MMA, we talk wrestling, comic books, movies, all sorts of great shows there. You can find them. Let's get out of here. That's Ronnie Adams. That's Mark Radulich. My name is Jesse Starcher. Thanks for joining us this evening. Everybody have a great one. Bye.
Bye.